Okay, back on the Nintendo. What is this? The 3DS? DS? Something or other? I'm not sure. But anyhow, I did order and receive a new charging jack that has all the plastic bits in place. Hopefully this is the correct one with the folded leads to lay down flat on the circuit board back here. Let me see if I can actually get my thumbnail under here and open it. And we'll just dump it out. It'll fall off. And yes, it is the one with the flat leads. Found it on eBay. Might post a link to it. Not quite sure. If there is a link, I'll put a little something or other up there or down in the video description. So yes, this one does look like indeed the correct jack for this model. So let me enable macro zoom and we shall try to remove this off the board. One moment. All right, there you go. Macro zoom has been enabled, and I can't remember if this pin right here was loose. It looks like it might be, so I'll only have to heat up that one pin right there to get this whole thing to come off of the board. Hopefully it will cooperate peacefully and I don't get in the way of the camera too many times, maybe 6 or 100, I'm not sure. So I thought I would add just a tad of fresh solder back here. It'll let go, and then yes, it lifts right off the board, and then we can go ahead and clean these pads, add fresh solder. We're going to vacuum this off with the solder sucker, and same thing here. We'll pull these pads off, well, quite easily actually. Fresh leaded solder going on, and then we'll vacuum all of the old solder off with the, probably can't even see it here, the Hacko FR301. You can almost see it. One moment. Okay, all the pads have been cleaned. They look very good at this point. Hopefully this is of no consequence. I did melt that very, very slightly. But I think it will be absolutely okay. I'll probably have to put a little dental pick in it or something to get it to stand upright once again. And so, looks like I can just set this in place. And it does kind of line up all on its own right there. So I'm thinking if I just add a bit of downward pressure, maybe we'll go ahead and tack the two ends on the board first and then solder the rest of the pins at a later date. One moment. Okay, so I have it basically where I want it to be. I'm just going to try to add some solder to just the pad only, and hopefully it'll take just like that. Want to make sure it's still straight, and it is. And I'm sure I'm going to get my hand in the way over here. Add a bit of fresh solder on all these. Okay, I am very happy with the results right there. Everything looks great. Like I said, may have to put a little pick in the center of that hole right there to get the screw to go back in it, but I think it's going to be okay. Now, I did go ahead and order a replacement battery. It has not arrived yet, but I wanted to get the charge jack in place and kind of get this thing somewhat reassembled and make sure that we don't have any other issues with this thing. All right, let me go ahead and put the back on it, and then we'll get the USB analyzer set up, connect a 5-volt power supply, even though it does specify somewhere back here that it was 4.7 volts. I do believe somewhere on here. Not quite sure. We'll figure it out. One moment. Okay, so I just got to pop the screws back into it, and then we'll give it a test. I'll put the old battery in it, which I did incidentally charge manually just for a little bit to make sure it did take somewhat of a charge. As stated before, I did order a replacement battery for the customer. He did approve the estimate for a replacement battery because this thing was down to 0.0 volts. Yeah, okay, so I'll get the screws put back in this thing, and then we'll give it a charge test. One moment. Okay, so battery is installed back in the unit here, and the USB cord is ready to be plugged in. Currently we're 4.95 volts at 0 amps. Let's plug this in and see if we get anything. And look, it is trying to charge the battery. 589 milliamps, or basically about 0.6 amps, as it is charging the battery. Well, I'm going to leave it for probably an hour or so and come back, and we'll see if it actually takes some kind of a charge. I am just a little apprehensive, just because back here it does say 4.6 volts in, and I doubt that this charging cable has a diode of some type to drop 0.4 of a volt. It's possible they might have used a couple Schottky diodes. They're about 0.15, 0.2 volts each, but I'm thinking probably not. So hopefully this will be fine with 0.4 of a volt higher than it wants. Although this is actually pulling down to 4.88, so we're down to about 0.3 of a volt more than it requires. So we'll give it some time, and oh, I must have this set turned off in 1 minute. Nope, yep, I do. I gotta change my settings. Normally I leave it on 24/7. Whoops, my bad. Thought something went south here. Okay, we'll check back in a few minutes. One moment to you guys. And incidentally, just in case you were curious, we are getting a charge light on the unit. So if I disconnect this, it goes out, plug it back in, I get the charge light. So, like I said, we'll give this some time. And I did go ahead and reset all the parameters here for how long it takes to charge, blah, 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 how many milliamp hours, watt hours that the battery actually accepts. So, like I said, we'll be back. One moment. All right, well, the thing has finished charging, and so now we do not have a charge indicator on the unit. So let's move this away, flip this guy open, and see if it's going to power on. I do have a blue LED here, and it appears that it is actually working. Let's go ahead and shut off some of these lights. And of course the date and the time is not correct because obviously the battery has been depleted in the unit, but it is actually working, and yes, definitely is in 3D. Very hard to see, but yeah, working perfectly. So all I need to do is go ahead and supply the customer with a new battery, which is on order at the moment. So there's some interesting tips for you there. Power off, yes please. Okay, power has been removed. All right, well, all I have to do is slam a new battery into this thing, even though the old one did actually charge up, even though it was effectively at 0.00 volts. But that is going to be it for the Nintendo 3DS. And here is the back panel. I'm not going to put that on until I put the new battery in it. And it is a model number CTR-001 parentheses USA. Made in China. All the best stuff comes from China. Okay, well, it does actually charge with a 5-volt supply. Anyhow, there you go. Replacing the jack on your Nintendo 3DS. Everyone, have a great day. Okay, well, I just finished wrapping up the video on this Nintendo 3DS, replacing the charge jack on it right there, and the battery showed up. So it's like, well, I'm going to have to extend this video just a little bit. That part might get cut out. Okay, so I did order and receive a CTR-003, same number as on the battery right there. And look at that, they look the same. So let's pop this guy out, take a look at it. And it's sealed. No, it's not sealed. They didn't peel the tape off. Anyhow, there it is, CTR-003, 3.7 volts, 2,000 milliamp hour, 7.4 watt hour. The original one was 1,300 milliamp hour, 5 watt hour. Of course, your mileage might vary. I expect these numbers to be highly inflated. But before we put this in, let's just go ahead and set it up right there. And I shall get a voltmeter out and rearrange a couple of things over here. And there you go. You can actually see. You're not going to stand up now? Really? What? No. Okay. Well, we'll do this then. We'll lean it up right there. Okay. Put that on DC volts and get the crud off the probes. What is the voltage at? That's going to tell us basically the state of charge. 3.9 volts, so it's a little bit over halfway charged. So on these batteries, totally discharged is going to be about 3.2 volts, and then totally charged is 4.2 volts. So the middle of that is going to be 3.7 volts. So it's just slightly over 50% charged. So what I'm going to do is pop this battery in. I've got my analyzer set up right here. We'll plug it into it, and I'll set up my stopwatch and see how long it takes to fully charge this battery up to 100% where it stops drawing current. So let me get that set up, and I will time lapse this because I'm not going to bore you with probably 3 or 4 hours of battery charging. So one moment. Okay, well, this is going to be the setup. I've got my USB analyzer plugged in. I did go ahead and zero out the milliamp hours and the milliwatt hours of consumption. I've got my stopwatch ready, and I do have the cord all set up. So I'm going to put this in the time-lapse mode, plug it in, and let it time-lapse for a few hours, and we'll see what this battery does. One moment. Okay, well, I've got to tell you, I'm not terribly impressed with what I saw as the charge results, but maybe my calculations were off ever so slightly. I'm not sure. Anyhow, I'm going to put this thing back together with the retained screws we have here. And then we'll fire this thing up and make sure it lights up. So what I saw was 300 milliamp hours going into this battery in about an hour and a half. So hit the power button, and I do get a blue light here. Should probably shut off some of the other lights, maybe. And yes, it is working on the battery. I wonder if it tells me. It shows it's fully charged right there in the corner. Okay, well, that's going to be it. The repair on the Nintendo 3DS. Wow, that looks really cool. Oh my God. Turn the 3D off and the 3D back on. You can definitely see it change. And you can also adjust the amount of 3D that you get. Wow, that is really cool. I've never actually seen one of these, even though my daughter had one of these as a kid a few years ago. I even think my son might have had one. Not the 3D model, but just the DS. Okay, anyhow, everyone, thanks for watching. I really, really appreciate it. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Go and leave me a question, a comment, a concern down below, good or bad, or try to respond to the comments when I have time. While you're down there, if you could, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. It really does help my channel grow. You can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X at NorCal715. You can email me, norcal715videos@gmail.com. As of right now, it is the very first couple of days in May. Leave me a comment in one of the videos. Starting to get caught up on a couple videos, emails, blah, 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 trying to get caught up. It's just not much time, you know. If the days were 36 hours long, I'd probably get a little bit more done. Okay, everyone, thanks for watching. I really, really appreciate it. Have a great day. Bye-bye. There we go. We got audio. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. Okay, exposure is in auto. All right, check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. All right, we'll use that static shot as the thumbnail view.